sound effects kicked in a little late, but welcome to the after show, post game show, Spurs with everybody. Spurs blow out the Grizzlies 123-98. The lead ballooned up to 39 points at one point. Wasn't much of a game. I think there was a point in the game in the second quarter when the Spurs offense really only scored 19 points after scoring 38 points in the first quarter, scoring 19 points in the second quarter. There's an opportunity for the Grizzlies to make a run. Maybe he thought Cam Spencer, he's on my white alarm list, people you got to watch out for. White guy alarm list. Cam Spencer didn't go off. Who else was I afraid of? That's maybe Javon Spall going off a little crazy. But there was opportunity for the Grizzlies to try to cut into this lead, and they really just didn't do it in the third quarter. Just got out of hand after starting 17-0. Spurs started the first quarter with 17 straight points, 17-0 run. I'm surprised the Grizzlies. I was shocked they scored as much as they did. Honestly, they felt like they barely scored. They were throwing passes off the backboard. I mean, people were dunking. The ball movement was the ball movement was on point. Let me tell you, we had talked about how the turnover to assist ratio had gotten a lot better to where we wanted to see the transition from the beginning of the year, where it felt like it more just like ISO, your turn, my turn. Hey, let's get the ball movement going. Let's get the assist totals going up high. Let's play some Spurs basketball. And we had talked about that it had been evolving, but this really looked idealistic Spurs basketball. I mean, people were passing up good shots to get great shots. Team totally trusted one another. That's what I've been talking about. It's a sign of a great team. Trusting, because you're only as good as your weakest link. So you just trust everybody to make a play, the correct play, make their correct shot, and do their job. And that's what the Spurs did early on, and it looked beautiful. And then things got a little shaky. We started missing shots, maybe not. Ball movement wasn't as crisp. Things were going a little bit wonky in the second, only scoring 19 points after almost scoring 40 in the first quarter. So you thought, like, wow, could put up possibly 80 something points in the first half. No, things crawled to a 19-point, second quarter. Grizzlies didn't have that much more success. I think they scored 25 in the second quarter themselves. So they really didn't, do themselves any favors. I forgot to mention Castle detonating. Shout out to Taylor Hendricks, man. After that guy blew out his leg, like nasty style in Utah, he got dunked on crazy style versus Castle. That was a nasty dunk. Lascelles tried to put on some posters. I think eventually he did. He tried to put out some posters. He threw the off the backboard pass to try to get Castle involved, but a little ill-advised. But the Spurs were in such in a good mood and good ball movement wise that. At that point, it was like, whatever. Wemby strolls into a nice little 19-15. How many blocks did he have? They have 7 blocks. Looking up real quick. My player of the game was Devin Vassell, by the way. After not having a very good outing, very nonchalant outing versus the Heat, he came back and put up 19. He had 7 rebounds, 4 assists. I believe he had a steal on his classic intercepting cross-court pass, which he's done all his career, pretty much is he's been able to be a free safety, and he's able to read passes pretty well. So why did my thing stall out here? But yeah, Keldon was able to get up his 15 points. Obviously, he stayed a little bit longer when the game was in a blowout, make sure that we got to pad his stats for the 6 man. That was nice, but he had already gone to work at that point, though, most in a good way. Saw some life from Champagny, was nice. I'm sorry that our guy Marcus, I was going to say Marshall is not here because he got some Plumlee minutes. He was probably no Luke Cornett. I wouldn't even talk about no Luke Cornett or Fox. Fox got a back tightness, I believe it was. And then Luke Cornett was the injury management. Those were kind of interesting dilemmas in the first half. So Harper started. He was fun. He's been fun, coming back strong. Castle did his thing as usual. 15 points, 9 assists, 5 turnovers. He got a little sloppy. That's when the offense kind of stalled, and when they only scored 19 points in the second quarter. Started to, little over dribbling, mishandling the ball. It happens to him, though. It happened. He did a nice dribble move into a mid-range shot. It's getting more and more comfortable. Once he gets more and more comfortable with that, it's gonna be a deadly weapon for him. Who else? Harrison Barnes, nice showing, 11 points, 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. That's pretty much all you want from Harrison Barnes. You don't need anything crazy. You just need him to lock in, hit some corner threes, hit open shots, maybe get downhill and do his patented what do they call it? Where you deceleration into a nice little open shot. Lindsey Waters got in there and jacked 6 threes. So shout out to him, man. You making the most though. We have making most of his time. Kelly Olynyk came in, got 9 points in 9 minutes, real quick in playoff time. Carter Bryant, just last 2 games really not showing that much, but it's okay. It's still got some time to tune up and get him ready for the playoffs. He needs to be more confident. Just get back to what he was doing a little stretch where he was just hitting open threes, attacking downhill. Just play with confidence. That's all he's got to do is Carter Bryant just play with confidence. He'll be fine. Young player. Wemby had 19, 15, 7 blocks. So Sean Elliott talked about trying to get the 10. This was the goal to get the sexy 19, 15, and 10, but wasn't able to do it. That's probably one of the bummers of this game is we didn't get 10 blocks. But I mean, the blocks have been impressive. Like I talked about last post game. Wemby just tracking the ball really well, going after it, blocking it. It's been an improvement for him, so I'm really proud of him. And he's being more forceful going downhill. We've seen spurts of it throughout the year, but he's definitely attacking the ball, getting downhill, which is nice, and imposing, using his strength, rely on his, feeling good about using his strength to get through people. So that's been a nice showing. So not a lot to really talk about. I don't really want to overanalyze this game because like I said, beyond the second quarter where there was the offense really stalled out, the Grizzlies didn't really, capitalize on it. So it didn't really change the game anyway. Oh, Cedric Coward was the guy I was also afraid maybe possibly going off with Cam Spencer. Walter Clayton, he was another. I mean, they have some interesting names. Once you see Taj Gibson rolling out there in year 100 of whatever Taj Gibson is in the NBA at this point, kind of this might be an interesting game, right? And you start hearing names you haven't heard before, Tyler Burton, or okay. So Spurs overall dominating in the paint. Maybe 3-point shooting could have been a little better. What we ended up with 35%. League average, I'm imagining, is 37, 30. I gotta look up what it is this year, but usually so. Still, Keldon 1 of 6. Lindsey Waters kind of tanked it with his 1 of 6 performance. Devin Vassell had a very efficient night, 7 of 10 for the field, 4 of 6 on the 3-point line. He also missed both of his attempts, but it's only 1 or 2. It doesn't really matter, Shed Petty's got back on the road. Harrison Barnes clicked for 3 of 6. So, all in all, we expected to win this game. We wanted a nice blowout. We got it finally. It was a nice dominating performance from the Spurs. They really played Spurs basketball, which was the most important part, most refreshing part of the game, is that we saw in the beginning Spurs basketball, like we've been accustomed to, the beautiful game basketball. So that was beautiful to watch. So overall, not much of a game, but we got it was still something. I'll always watch NBA games, Spurs games or NBA games, no matter what. So it didn't bore me, but maybe by the end of the third, people were like, the fourth quarter, can we switch over to maybe watching OKC and Boston play or something, or another game, or whatever TV show you're watching these days. But yeah, player of the game was Devin Vassell. Like I said, bounce back game for him. 19 points, 7 of 10 from the field, 4 of 6, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a plus a plus 38, 5 defensive rebounds. Sorry. Got a little bit of a cough. He was a plus 38 overall. I don't really buy into all the metrics and plus minus, but it does give you a little bit of a barometer of his impact overall. whether it's positive or negative, and everybody's in the 30s almost, except for Champagne at plus 28 and Dylan Harper's at plus 18. So shout out to Devin Vassell. Gonna need him in the playoffs. Sniper, mid range, impactful on both ends of the court. So he's going to be a big factor for the Spurs in the playoffs, especially spreading the floor. Spurs next game will be against the Bucks on Saturday. Saturday, 28th. We'll have another post game show. Boston. Milwaukee's 3-7 in their last 10. They're kind of tapped out for the season. You know, we already know what's going to happen with them. No Giannis, so we already know that, you know, they're not really, you know, right now they're losing 69-45 in the second to to Portland. So, you know, we have with Milwaukee, but you still want to see the Spurs take care of business, and just blow them out, get this game over with. And, so that should be another fun win for the Spurs. We'll see what happens with the Bulls after that. That should be, I mean, you're just hoping for some tune-up games before the playoffs, right? You want to see Spurs getting a little bit more of a competitive atmosphere. You don't want them going in too laxed. Don't want to make this too long because there's some interesting games on still. Houston, Minnesota, Dallas, Denver. See that. Clippers are torching Toronto right now, 41-25. I mean, not torch, but yeah. So yeah. What was I going to talk about after this? Around the league real quick. I don't need to drop the music because Marshall's not here. I only do that for him. But Atlanta beats Detroit 130-129. Obviously, no Cade Cunningham. But the big game of the game was Boston versus OKC. Boston went ahead and went 119-109, which brings, with the Spurs win, the OKC loss, that brings the standings to 2 games. Now, 2 games doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. So it'd be interesting how close the Spurs, if they have even opportunity. You just think about all the games they dropped that they shouldn't have dropped. They could be tied right now or in first place overall, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. And it kind of does put a little bit of sour in your mouth. You know, it's still like an amazing season. Obviously, you can't take anything away from it. And you just, but it furthers in your mind, like as a competitor, you're like, man, we were so close to the first seed, man. If we could have gone from worst to first, you know, like one of those stories. Even, you know, and put Wemby in the who's third place in the MVP ballots right now. Put him in even closer to getting an MVP. But yeah, OKC lost to Boston. They possibly could still win out, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe it'd be worse if it's a tease that we're like get within 1 game. It's even more of a, but that's a fun little wrinkle. Like if that gets even closer to the end, like the last couple games, I don't know, we have 7 or 9 games left for everybody. So we'll keep an eye on that. Before that's really the only thing that needs to shake out before the playoffs. Me and Marshall might be going out to the Rock. They had a promotion about a watch along for was it the Bucks game or was it? I don't know if it's the Bucks game or one of the last games that the Spurs will be playing at. So definitely thinking about wanting to go out and meet people and have fun with every other Spurs fan and be at the Rock. So get back to us on that. We'll let you know. Maybe y'all can meet us out there. Whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for tonight, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You can drop a comment. What you want to see more of, less of, you know, what kind of critique our show a little bit, help us out. You know, obviously we're trying to grow. And obviously consistency is important, so that's on me. But if you give any more tips, that'd be helpful. Or you just want to talk Spurs, you know, just drop a comment. Also, you can follow us on all social medias at Spurs versus Everybody, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We appreciate everybody coming through tonight. Just in a nice quickie. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.